Hey, this is Jane Douglas for GameSpot here at E3 2011. We're here with Alex Amancio, Creative Director on Assassin's Creed Revelations. We're very pleased to be joined by Alex, and we've just had a very impressive demo. First of all, Alex, tell us, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood kind of wrapped us up in a bit of a narrative knot at the end. How are you gonna resolve that? Where are you gonna take us from there?
Essentially, Revelations is the end of the Ezio trilogy. So everything from AC2 and ACB has been leading up to this. What we're going to do is we're going to sort of set up all of the sort of the revelations that stem from Altair's role in AC1, all through AC2 and ACB, and we're going to present a sort of a narrative nexus point, where the sort of the past and future of everything to this point is going to sort of fall into place, like the pieces of the puzzle are sort of going to fall into place, and you're really going to understand everything about like everything that's led up to this and everything that's to come in the next chapters.
So you're promising us everything will become clear?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, and you're going to be playing as Ezio for the most of it, but also as Desmond?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and Altair.
And what are the proportions? How's it going to work, and how are you going to be moving between them? You did explain a little bit about how the Animus would work.
Yes. Essentially, Desmond is stuck in the sort of the black room of the Animus, as we call it, sort of the low-level operating system. After Brotherhood, he falls into a coma, and he's sort of put in the Animus to keep him alive, like to sort of keep him from reaching like limbo. He falls through the sort of the white room operating system and into the low-level DOS-like Animus. This is a very abstract level where everything like sort of systemic rooms meet sort of his subconscious, and he needs to find sort of the back doors into the entry points to the memories of Ezio. It's through the completion of Ezio's memories and the reaching of that certain nexus point that he will find his way out of the Animus. So that's how Desmond gets to play Ezio's memories. Now, Altair is played through Ezio himself. When he finds these sort of first civilization artifacts to sort of allow him to live Altair's sort of key moments. Now, I can't tell you exactly what the proportions are, because obviously with an open world game it's very hard to sort of like set numbers like that, but think of Desmond as sort of like Desmond's chapters are sort of like these entry points into Ezio's main storyline, and then that is segmented into sort of like entryways into Altair's key moments. So Altair lived a very long life. I think he died at 90-something. So you will get to play him from his late teens or early 20s up until when he's 90. So that gives us a lot of room to intercut with all the key moments in his life.
Okay, so you're going to be playing as Ezio, playing as Desmond, as Ezio, who is playing as Altair. Do you ever get like an Inception kind of feel going on here?
Yeah, a little bit. But that's all about Assassin's Creed, right? It's all about like the Animus and playing your ancestors' memories. So it was always the case.
Okay, and sorry, with that plot, you see it as being the end of this trilogy, and the trilogy being Assassin's Creed 2, and then Brotherhood, and then Revelations, and that's the end for Ezio and Altair. But how about Desmond?
Desmond will carry on.
So you see Assassin's Creed as being around Desmond?
Yes, traditionally it has always been, right? That sort of Desmond is the present-day link to all his ancestors. There is a sort of overarching present-day narrative. It's all about the end of the world in 2012, which is fast approaching in real time. So obviously we need to conclude everything so that we are in real time when we reach the actual date.
Okay, all right. So preparing for the end of the world then.
Exactly.
Okay, all right. Let's move away from the plot, perhaps, and to the new mechanics in the single player specifically. We saw this. We saw some of the action with the new hook blades, and also with the zip line, which it keys into.
Yes. Yeah. The hook blade is one of the systems that we're adding to the game. First of all, the hook blade speeds up navigation by about from 25 to 30%. Not only does it speed navigation, but it actually adds flow. Also, Assassin's Creed is all about movement, right? You know, free running and running around the open world city. And we felt that when you came into combat, it sort of like slowed the pace a little bit. So we added one of the elements for the hook blade is that it adds fluidity and adds a bridge between movement and combat. So, for example, you can run towards an enemy, perform a hook and throw, which vaults you over the character, catapults him on another NPC and allows you to start the fight right off the bat, like very boom, from movement to combat instantaneously. That's just one of the sort of the moves it adds.
Okay, and we also saw some of the new crafted bombs. Tell us about those.
We showed you a couple of samples of the crafted bombs with the demo. Obviously, you know how economies in games are typically around money. You know, we have very little at the beginning and you have too much at the end. We sort of shifted our economy. We still have money, but a little bit towards ingredients. The whole goal of this is to give the player the opportunity to run around the city, buy and find new ingredients, combine them, and create bombs that will help him sort of like manipulate the game towards the type of gameplay that he likes. For example, he or she likes. For example, if a player is very stealth-oriented, well, then he can create bombs that will reinforce that. Like, for example, the smoke bomb that we showed you in that demo. Or another setup, for example, you know, I kill a guard, I drag him into a place where I know a patrol is going to come by, I set a tripwire bomb, and then just wait until the other guards spot that, come by, as they examine the corpse, boom, the tripwire goes off. So we're really opening up a lot of gameplay possibilities. We're allowing for players that like to play aggressively to be able to reinforce it with bombs. We're allowing for players that like to play the stealth game to reinforce it with stealth-oriented bombs. It's really opening up the possibilities and allowing you to play the game the way you want to play it.
And do you expect that to feel, is that intended to feel different from Assassin's Creed Brotherhood? How familiar will combat, for example, say, feel in this game?
I think there is a change of pacing for sure. Players that still like to play very aggressively will be able to find their way through it, right? But it's just, I think it's more of an evolution, right? It allows you to really transform the game into the sort of game that you want to play. You know, in combat, for example, one thing that we're adding to sort of like just revamp it, you can remember in AC Brotherhood, we did have secondary weapons during combat, but those weapons were activated through, like holding a button for 2 seconds, for example, which sort of goes a little bit against the whole, idea of combat that is very fast-paced. What we did here is we added a second button for all of the side weapons. So this really opens up the possibilities during combat. You might be fighting with your sword or hook blade, and then all of a sudden turn around and throw a quick bomb on an incoming character. It really allows for more fluidity and more variety during combat. Okay,
great. Well, just last now, let's talk about, you began the demo by saying you wanted the game to be more narratively meaningful. Does that mean we're going to get away from having so much stuff to do in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, where there were factions and buildings to upkeep and to buy and renovate? Is that something that you're no longer interested in, or will we see that?
No, we definitely have that. And the approach we've taken is that, like, yes, Assassin's Creed is a huge game, and it's becoming ever bigger. There's many systems. What we try to do here is, while continuing to add new systems, we've tried consolidating them and creating more links between these different systems. And that way we reinforce the sort of the core experience of the game. So we have something new that we haven't shown yet. It's called the Assassin's Dens. The Assassin's Dens has sort of like 2 parts to it. First of all, it is some new gameplay elements, low-level gameplay elements that you can do with your assassins in the city. There is also a tie-in to more of a Mediterranean gameplay where you send your assassins on missions, like in Brotherhood, but an evolution to that. And then we also consolidate a lot of the existing systems from Brotherhood, for example, the Borgia Towers, the actual Brotherhood and the city improvement elements, and we merged them all, we tied them all into the core narrative experience. So although it's still as big or even a bit like more elaborate in terms of systems, they seem more connected, so the player can't sort of go around them. You know, it's part of the experience.
All right, very cool. Well, thanks, Alex. We can't wait to see more. Can you just give us the platforms and release window, please?
Yes, PS3, Xbox 360, and PC, and the game will be out November 15th.
Great, thanks very much.